Hello, bastard viewers. It's that time. As I'm sure many people are already aware, the fallout from the patch notes has shown some numerical misery that took the combined expertise of the Poe community to fully uncover. We start with Seismic Trap, which is fine. Not sure how this happened. The skill is wildly above everything else, and we actually got nerfs to other skills that were powerful. Generally speaking, though, these skills were eclipsed by Seismic Trap in several ways. It's weird, though, because this was the one nerf I think much of the community actually wanted, and now it's going to be a significant drain on the competitive meta because we didn't get it. Of course, if it is to be nerfed, I hope it isn't deleted from the game, just not left overbearingly dominant. The curse situation is a bit more complicated. When GGG does things, because of the amassed frustration, we almost get a Streisand effect phenomenon, where for every little thing GGG does to try and minimize the impact of a nerf, there are players who then in turn exaggerate it. I'm going to try and be direct with the problematic changes here, but it's been a lot of information to wade through. For starters, Hexblast has not been appropriately changed. That is factual. Losing Doom was a big enough hit to the skill for where they left it in regards to damage. But they felt the need to absolutely obliterate the cast speed as well. You can see here, it now has a cast time of 1 second, previously 0.6. Additionally, it has Lightning Conduit style of trigger mitigation, where the cast speed is added to its cooldown if it's triggered. This makes the skill probably ideal for miners at this point, if that's even good, or perhaps cast while channeling, although what channeling skill synergizes with Hexblast I don't know. It should probably have the cast speed change reverted, or at the very least, be given significantly more base damage to compensate. This next bit I completely glossed over in my patch notes review, because honestly there was a lot to go over and I was bound to make a mistake somewhere, so apologies for that. Despair is deeply, deeply altered. I said it in the Curse Manifesto, if they're going to change how Vulnerability and Despair work, they need to be careful, because skills are designed around their relative power. Despair is now just a Chaos Resistance reduction. The added Chaos damage it hits, and the increased damage taken from damage over time effects is gone. This isn't that big a deal for poison builds, because Wither is also increased damage taken, and at a much higher amount. But for Ignite and Bleed, it's a pretty sizable headache, and neither of those archetypes needed a blanket nerf. Altogether, with Vulnerability and Flammability being much stronger self-cast against Pinnacle bosses where it matters, and Ignite/Bleed builds typically having the time to cast them, it's probably not that severe a nerf, but everyone else got a pretty nice bump from the curse changes, so this still feels pretty bad. If I had to suggest a change, perhaps Flammability and Vulnerability could be given some sort of an extra stat to compensate for the loss, or perhaps the damaging archetypes as a whole could receive some sort of a small bonus. We'll have to wait and see if it's even a big problem though, because it's important to remember that Arch Nemesis was drastically nerfed, and much of the game is probably going to play more smoothly regardless of seemingly sizable nerfs like this one. There's also a lot of community anxiety around certain unique jewels. I would say Replica Conqueror's Efficiency and Coated Shrapnel are the biggest offenders here. Coated Shrapnel was a big fixer for getting 100% poison chance on your traps, and Replica Conqueror's Efficiency gave you a flat mana reduction, which was very large for attack skills and fixing cast on crit builds when it came to mana. This shouldn't be a terribly big issue, because having these be rolled into the core drop pool as more common unique jewels really isn't anything the community would probably be upset about, because they have value and are great targets for corrupting. Obviously, I recommend exactly that. The sentiment of unique jewels having more value is a great one, but these jewels actually have some value, so why not keep them? Alternatively, a passive wheel for poison traps to help that 100% be achieved efficiently could remove the case for putting Coated Shrapnel back in as well. I shouldn't go on without mentioning the Lord of Steel jewels though, which honestly, if Primordial Golem jewels can be given a vendor recipe, these should probably get one as well. This isn't even a remotely difficult fix, as far as I understand. Lastly, there's the unique weapon rebalance. This seems to be more a community gripe than a personal one, but a majority of the items have been made much rarer. Honestly, I couldn't find specifics on this, so I'm not comfortable talking about it too much. All I can say is that, in many cases, these items do deserve to be rare, and I don't have a terribly large problem with it. The one exception is probably Kingmaker, which has many anime garden enjoyers very nervous. Considering Soul Taker is already very rare, I don't know that it's on the list of items being made more rare. Lots of people are assuming these items are moving to Mageblood or Headhunter tiers of rarity, but until someone at GGG confirms/denies this, or we get to test it ourselves, this is a problem for certain already useful uniques. They probably just need to tell us if Kingmaker will be easier or more difficult to acquire than it currently is, and then have a good, hard think about the community's opinion on the matter. Honestly, with so many problems coming up so close to launch, I feel like GGG should start reserving the ability to declare certain changes up for review before the league launches. For instance, they could say, Kingmaker's availability may be improved after league launch. This would give them a flexibility they've rarely had before, with this precedent for them changing something after launch instead of doing it without much warning, which they absolutely hate to do. Anyway, this is why I ended my patch notes review with a staunch warning about spending money on supporter packs before you've played the game. It's very possible that, in practice, some of these changes are wholly rooted in negative speculation. If they're not, they get no money. That is our greatest power as their customers, and, to be honest, you'd probably be surprised to find out that this behavior doesn't actually upset GGG. Many of the people at the company are concerned with making the best possible game, and when we speak with our wallets, our opinion on the matter becomes impossible to twist or misinterpret internally. Personally, I'm still excited for the League because the mechanic looks fantastic, and even if they are rare, the newly buffed uniques look fun to use. Also, I like strike skills and want to try out that nonsense. Have a good one, Exiles.